It was Lisa's idea to spend the last day of our swinging European vacation in a haunted medieval castle in Romania, home of Dracula and his bloody legend. I was thrilled at the thought of it and told Lisa that it was a wonderful way to finish a drug and sex-filled trip. We arrived at the castle of Countess Edwina Dushmore late. The place curiously smelled of a potent combination of dead toads and old sweaty jockstraps. Lisa wasn't comfortable, and neither was I. We hoped that it was more appealing inside than the stinking outside that assaulted our olfactory senses. Lisa, in fact, made the remark the noxious odor reminded her of her dead grandfather she had killed after he molested her, and she'd stuffed him in a utility closet in her parents' basement. In any case, with trepidation equal to that of a schoolgirl having her first menstrual cramp, we ventured forward, not knowing what was waiting for us. Had we known at that critical moment, we'd ran like scared coyotes off into the dank, dark surrounding forest, never to return. We were excessively horny though, and we'd not had sex for over 6 hours. Last fucking each other behind a McDonald's during rush hour in Berlin. A creepy man named Igor met us at the door and guided us into a huge dark room, and then left with our luggage, leaving us to wonder what we'd gotten our stupid selves into. We noticed an open coffin in a strange X-shaped structure we theorized was used for torture in medieval times. Lisa said she'd like to get naked and get tied up to the thing and have me whip her, which made me laugh a bit. Then, as our anxiety grew and Lisa's wetness became overwhelming, as did my erection, the Countess suddenly appeared, as if we were watching some late-night TV vampire movie. We were getting a little nervous, and Lisa remarked that the place was probably just some phony stage room hurriedly constructed by a low-budget exploitation producer. I told her that might be so, although I thought she was nuts. Nevertheless, I told her not to worry, yet I was secretly nervous in this dark, forbidding place. She asked us why we'd chosen her castle to stay overnight, and we were frankly at a loss to understand why we had. But it was certain in my mind, and in Lisa's mind, that we needed some crazy gothic shithole to fuck our brains out. But instead, being unusually reserved, we told the Countess we liked her castle because we liked the way she looked. It was a stupid, flattering compliment, and the Countess politely smiled. I told her she was hot as a branding iron and I'd screw her brains out at the drop of a hat. Lisa found my answer annoying and told the Countess I'd been smoking a lot of high-grade pot and was merely overly horny. Then the Countess told us that in ancient times, some of her ancestors had been burned to death in this very room, and that her family had been reduced to few in number from persecution based on an erroneous belief her family were all bloodsuckers, the walking dead, risen from the grave, and so forth. And she said that it was all false, and it was only a story to scare up business for the travel agency. Frankly, we didn't know what to think when she told us she was only a Satanist and a witch, and that she was just as alive as we were, but that she and her coven periodically had humans tortured and sacrificed to satisfy the dark world of demonic gods she and her husband served. Lisa recoiled in horror at that remark, and I wanted to leave that creepy woman and her weird castle right then and there. But Lisa and I were hungry, tired, and really horny. We decided to go along with the Countess and accept accommodations for the night, and then leave immediately at daybreak. The Countess then said the interview was at an end, and instructed old Igor to show us our room. We thanked her and followed Igor. Had we only known what laid ahead of us, we would have split from that moldy old place right away. Instead, naively and feeling like we'd get a thrill out of fucking each other in this spooky place, we nervously ventured toward our room. As it turned out, the room wasn't nearly as bad as we'd figured. Lisa liked the room and said it turned her on so much she wanted to skip the meal and incidental conversation and just fuck each other's brains out. She said she hoped that a large pus-filled boil on my ass had popped and healed up. I told her it had. The bed was quite appealing to both of us, and I told Lisa to get her duds off quickly because I was getting just too damned horny to hold it back any longer. Quickly she complied with great enthusiasm, and we bawled for hours that night in one of the spookiest places on the face of this earth. It was a sick fuck, to be sure, but it was a memorable one. A memorable night in a Baroque castle in Transylvania, and we will always be able to tell our grandchildren that we'd spent a wild orgasmic night in an old haunted castle in the infamous land of vampire lore. Unfortunately, Lisa and I noticed the next morning that we both had bloody puncture wounds on our necks, and there was considerable blood splattered about the bed sheets and floor. When the sun rose, we were quite frightened by it, and we ran back into the dark hallway, screaming for someone to help us. We did not know at that moment that we'd become vampires, like our hosts who had obviously deceived us. We are now forever part of the living dead, but on the bright side, we can still have children and a family, although we will require much fresh human blood to survive. And the Countess told us we will never grow old, and that appealed to Lisa, who smiled and told me that it could be worse. We could simply be worm food or ash. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed our travelogue.